Welcome to our cottage. We're a family of 6 who lives in this early 1900s farmhouse in the middle of Washington State on just 2¼ acres. And on this property we have our dairy cow and our chickens and our geese and our dogs and cats, and we love living here. For the past 4 years, we've been renovating this farmhouse, and what I like to think of is bringing it back to its former glory. Part of that involves styling the cottage with what I like to call thrift store style. This is something that we get a lot of questions about. Questions like, how can I make my home look like that? Well, unfortunately, it's not quite that easy, because this sort of style has really been accumulated over the last decade of our styling homes and moving and styling homes and moving. But the good news is that this style is very inexpensive and very possible. You just have to be a little patient. I had a friend who came over a few weeks ago for supper, and she said to me, there's one thing that's true about your home. No one would mistake it for anybody else's. Your home should be reflective of just you, the things that you love, that bring peace to your space, that you find joy in, that you find beautiful. And art is a perfect example of this. So when I go thrifting, my eyes are always open for good vintage art. I find myself drawn towards a lot of farm scenes, cottage scenes, bridges, old towns, that kind of a thing. And then I just collage all of these together to create a real image, a big impact when you walk into a space. Now, these old paintings are littered all over the home, but it's always something that I'm on the lookout for. So keep your eyes open. One other thing that I'm always on the lookout for when I go thrifting is old lighting. One of the very first things that we did when we moved into our home was to take down all the 80s horrible ceiling fans and put up French chandeliers. What I love about these chandeliers is that when you put a shade over a warm light bulb, it really creates that ambient lighting, that warm, yellowish glow that like you would get from a fire or from a candle, and that immediately makes you feel comfortable in a space. Remember, this is the home our family lives in all the time. We're all here all the time, and so it really needs to be a space that invites people in. Not only that, but we're constantly opening up our table to family and friends and neighbors, and I want it to be a home that looks beautiful and that looks attended to and that looks rich in history and story, but that also feels like you could come and curl up and kick up your feet and be comfortable, not afraid to exist within the space. And I think beautiful lighting is a huge part of that. I've learned in my years of thrifting that one of the best ways to achieve this style is make sure that you actually go for the thing that's old versus the thing that's made to look like it's old. So over the years, the things that I've brought in from Hobby Lobby and Target notoriously end up going to another thrift store because I've been replacing them with things that I find that actually are old. And I find that really makes a difference in the space because it doesn't look like you're trying to achieve anything. It's actually old. And luckily this can be done on a budget if you shop the right stores. So one of the ways that I really love to bring this history into a room is through chipped, peeling furniture. Now, I have distressed a lot of furniture in my day, and whenever I get something new or I'm trying to make something look old, I will distress it. But there is something to be said for a piece of furniture that is chipping simply because it's been left out in the shop or in the barn for years and years. So I always try to bring something like that into a room, be it through a stool or a chair or an end table or a coffee table. Something that has a genuine history to it always makes a space feel welcoming and worn in and comfortable. Another thing that I'm notoriously on the lookout for is old dishes, because I keep them stacked up here, there, and everywhere in the home. There's not a complete set to be found. In fact, nothing in this home matches. But I love it this way because we don't just keep the plates for display, we use them. And so they're old and vintage and chipped and broken, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So my eyes are always on the lookout for old coffee mugs or espresso cups, old saucers, bowls, plates, and then I just pile these up, and this is what we actually eat from. And part of the joy is that you're eating maybe an ordinary Monday breakfast, but you're eating it from this old vintage plate that's beautiful, and that brings great joy to the day. Another way to sort of get this worn-in cottage style is by bringing in furniture and pieces that not only you love the design of, but that are old and chippy and worn. And one of my very favorite ways to do this is with old chairs, much to the dismay of a lot of people who have sat at my dining room table and fallen through. But I just can't get enough of that worn fabric and like the worn netting, you know, that they used to line chairs with. And you know, we've broken a lot of chairs, but I like to think that they lived out the last legs of their life very fulfilled in our home, where we actually use them and enjoy them. So old chairs, especially upholstered chairs, are always on my list. I like to have a ratty old chair in every single room because it feels comfortable and it feels worn in, and no one's afraid to sit down, no one's afraid to spill on it, no one's afraid to curl up with a cup of tea and read a book, and that's exactly how I want this space to feel. Another sort of way that we love to sort of encourage this coziness within our walls is to put old books everywhere. Old books smell good and they feel good in your hands. And I've been surprised, even though our children are still pretty young, how often they'll go and pick up these old books and flip through them. This is just because they're sitting around stacked on tables or stacked by the fireplace or even on the back toilet in the bathroom. They add that worn, lived in, I have a story to tell, I've been here a while, I've been around the block. Bringing in pieces like that have that bit of history is a wonderful way to create that comfortable, welcoming space. What I love about this style is that I'm not afraid if my kids doodle on something, although I don't condone it. I'm not afraid if they put their feet up on the coffee table. I'm not afraid if they curl up onto the couch or if they restack the books, because it is really lived in and it's meant to be a space that they can exist in joyfully and comfortably. I also love that this is a highly individualistic type of style. That means that one house to the other, not everything is going to look the same. Even though we might share particular styles, you might have a different taste in art, or maybe you have a different taste in vintage fabrics. I love that your house gets to be your own, and I would encourage you to find those sorts of items that speak to you, that make you feel joy, that make you feel like they should be a part of your home, and bring them in and work with that. We don't have to whitewash things. It doesn't have to be a homogeneous style. This is your home after all, and you get to make it special. One of our very favorite pastimes as a family is to go thrifting. So we load up all the kids into the car and we go hit up our favorite thrift stores, where we're known on a first name basis, but that's okay, or our favorite antique stores. And my eyes are always open for art and fabrics, cool old chairs, of course, old worn books, crusty baskets, anything that's going to bring that genuine cottage feel into the home. Another thing that I am always on the lookout for when I go thrifting is copper pots. Now, because we're looking for things that are worn and tell their story and sort of age gracefully along with our old home, copper is perfect for that. The kitchen can sometimes be a cold place with our stainless steel refrigerators and stainless steel pots and pans, but copper is comfortable, copper is lived in, copper is warm, and you can never have enough. If you want to learn more about how we achieve this cottage style, be sure to check out my book, Seasons at the Farm, which is on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. We break it down by season in the farm, by fabrics and food and feelings and paint colors and all different kinds of wonderful ways for you to bring that real farmhouse element into your own cottage.